What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I said, welcome back to the video. The weather's been beautiful, hasn't it? We had a little heat wave in England. I think it's over today, to be fair. Like, it's a little bit cooler today, but it's still absolutely roasting. So the last day today to enjoy that sun. Today I've got a Q&A video. So I originally filmed it on this chair right here. But I've been learning a little bit about filming in sunlight, and the sunlight is very, very harsh, as you can see on my face right now. I'm directly in the sunlight, so you can see the shadows under my eyes, which makes me look really old. You can see the shadows here. So instead, I need to sort of redo what I was thinking and maybe change the angle a little bit and play with the settings on the camera. I don't know. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not a videographer. Not yet anyway. But more importantly, we got back first. I'm going to take you through a back session. I'm also going to bring you to, I'm also going to tell you, not this video, probably the next video, I'm going to tell you how to bring yourself back from quarantine, because I know the guys out there in Ireland on the 28th, I know the guys out there in Ireland are going back to the gym on the 28th, so you've kind of got this ability to go back and train very, very soon. So I want to be able to give you, I want to arm you with that knowledge over the next few videos. Obviously, I've got my training plan coming out. Those of you guys that don't know, I've got a training program called, it's basically going to be called the Welcome Backpack. And it's going to basically increase your volume from day one until about week 6 over a period of time, accustoming you to the new training, accustoming you to getting back into the gym so you don't have disgusting DOMs to the point where you can't train again. It's going to be progressive volume. You're going to have exercise breakdown, exercise choice, so you can rotate it to make it personal to you. There's activation and priming in there. There's tempo. There's all your rep ranges, and it's literally like 6 weeks worth of programming, really, really in depth. It's going to be available on the 28th for you guys. I'll put a link in the description box on that video that I post on that day. Let's get back. So guys, we're going to have a little bit of a talk through today's session. We've not done that in a while. So first exercise, this is the Find Your Lat special. I've done this many, many times. But we've got a little bit of a difference in the fact we've got D handles. I quite like using the D handles here. Usually you'd be like on a long rope and you'd be fixed in that motion, which is it's a pretty nice motion, to be fair. But the handles here just allow you to rotate and really like pull against it and really get that lat as fully contracted and short as possible. So we're just going to do 3 sets on this, trying to hit failure on all of them, but just as we go through the motions, warm up gradually. Nice and warmed up after those first 3 sets. Now we go for like a horizontally loaded pull. So essentially we're pulling horizontally. So, you know, pulling horizontally, like I just said 3 times. And then afterwards, you've got a vertical pull. So the fibers in the back, iliac fibers, they're going to work vertically, which are going to kind of pull your shoulder and your arm down. And then you've got kind of rear delt traps, the upper lats that are all part of the retraction and pulling horizontally as well. So big horizontal load, single arm, we're against this for chest support. Essentially, like what I like to say is the less moving parts there is, the more isolation, the more volume you can deliver to something. So here, chest supported, knees are fixed, it's just one movement versus like a big row where you can use a lot of momentum. So this is a good alternative for a little bit of equipment. So we're just going to come in to just accumulate a little bit more volume now. We've done our like real fixed load of delivery in terms of like hitting that chest supported. So now we're going to do a dumbbell row. Unfortunately, we've only got 60s. So I've had to add a cuff to add a bit more weight at the top set. I've already done that top set. We're now going to do the back off set on the 60s, so it's slightly lighter. Things to note on this: keeping your feet fairly parallel, keeping your feet fairly straight forward. No rotating at the hip. You don't really want to be yanking. You do want to be thinking about wrapping your elbow around, because you remember these iliac fibers that pull right across, and they do pull your shoulder back, and they do pull your lat back as well. So you are thinking about wrapping around, pulling low into the hip. Yeah, enjoy. So we're going to move on to a vertical pull. So we've succumbed to banded pull-ups with a D handle. So the D handle, I know I say it a lot, but when you're in a lat pull down, you're in a very fixed position with your hand, right? And you lat pull down, you're like that. Neutral handle, you're still like that. With the handle, it just allows you to rotate how you naturally would. The way you rotate in your wrist is going to be different from the way that I rotate my wrist. So it makes sense just to do it uniquely. Banded pull-ups, probably get about 10. Start. Final exercise. Now, I've been putting Dorian deadlifts, RDLs, rack pulls at the end of my back sessions, and people have been wondering why. So not only is it a little bit hamstring volume, a little bit of back volume, but I found taking that big compound movement and sticking it at the end, it sort of just, it inherently keeps you humble in the way that you're not going to chase load. You can't chase load because you're super fatigued. So you can really maximize that form on something that people tend to have a little bit of poor form with, being an RDL. I think it's a really good move to move it to the end. Sure, it's not going to be the super load that you're used to, but it's just going to help functionally. You're not going to have that lower back pain that you may have before, and you can keep things a lot more stable in that environment. So an RDL, 2 sets, 1 top set, 1 back off set, and then done.
Good.
There's definitely, oh sure, you nearly dropped that camera. This definitely won't be the last time that we bump the car, but I've got to bump her one more time. My car deal is now officially done, so we got to wait about...
Shorty, I'm out.
We got to wait about a week or so for the car to come, maybe a little bit longer. So I've got to fire the old girl up one more time as I'm going to go visit my girlfriend this week. So this weekend.
She lives once again.
I'm actually going to be selling that Audi A3, so if anyone wants a 54 plate Audi A3 2-litre dirt turbo with a dodgy battery, it basically has got a drain on it. There's the new battery in it, the alternator's fine, it's got a slight drain on it, so it conks out every now and again. It's got 150,000 miles on it. DM me on Instagram, let me know. So one thing that I want to say before I get into this, I am not a doctor. I am not your doctor. I'm not qualified. Don't take what I say as what you should do. This is completely experience. There's no advice here. I'm just talking about my experiences. Enjoy. Are we ready then? Excuse me holding my hand to my face. It's a little microphone this way. You can hear me nice and clear here. So we're going to go through these questions now. I'm going to try and illustrate them as much as possible as usual. I've got some cool questions. I've got some standard questions. I wanted to mix them up so that you don't just get one flavor of just bodybuilding, because that's quite easy to overwhelmingly do. I do that day to day. I thought I'd try and do some few different questions there. So the first question we're going to go into is, what is the most nostalgic or euphoric moments that you can remember? Now, for me, I've got 2 that stick out in my mind when I saw this question. Number 1, first and foremost, that moment that we won that qualifier. I had a lot of pressure to perform. I had a lot of pressure to kind of get shit done just because of social media and whatnot, and it's obviously going to be the same this year. But when I won that moment, I'm going to play it for you right now. It says it all.
Let's go, Josh.
If you'd like to present the award to number 39.
Yes, Josh! Yes, Josh! Winning, son! Yes, lad!
The next moment, it was at a festival, and you guys know where I'm going with this already, with the euphoria. But I was at Elro, right? It was New Year's Eve. It was my birthday, so it was a real big event. And I was upstairs in Motion. I don't know if anyone's been to Motion in Bristol, but I was upstairs in Motion, and essentially what had happened was, I was upstairs and I was with 2 of my friends who I'd gone out with, and I saw a friend in the middle of the dance floor, and for whatever reason, it just elated this euphoria inside me, and I rang him, and I called him, and he picked his phone up. I don't know how he heard his phone, or he must have felt a vibration. I was like, look up to the right, and he looked up, ended the call and filmed it. I'm going to play you this right now, and it was literally one of the best moments ever when you're both just like, in a club, you're both absolutely spandangled at 2 o'clock in the morning. What a feeling. Something a little bit more serious, something a little bit different. How do I do my check-in pictures? So first of all, I'm going to show you the video of me checking in. I tend to have this on front camera so I can see what I'm doing. I can line up the light, and I can stand in a nice flattering light that's going to essentially flatten my physique. So right now, there's like soft light everywhere because there's clouds, so you don't need to worry about where the light is. So when you're outside, you can pretty much just stand on, if there's clouds outside, you can stand anywhere. If you're taking them inside, I tend to take them in a doorway, because the doorway will take the light in from outside and it will shine it onto your physique, and there won't be as many as many different shadows on the face and whatnot. For example, when you're out in the sun and you're facing the sun, like, you're going to see shadows on your face. So you either want to be front onto the light inside. I would take it from a lower angle as well. Like you can see here, I usually have it about knee height, because this is what the judges are going to see. Essentially, they are not like body height; they are sitting down from a bit. So you got to think about that with your posing. So when you do your poses, you can pose how you would be doing on stage, from your back or from your front or whatever. You can see what looks good on the screen, and then you can adjust accordingly, and it gives you that kind of insight into where a judge would be looking for. Opinions on Sarms. So I've never used Sarms. My opinion on Sarms is that I would probably stick with testosterone or anabolics, just because they're pretty heavily researched. We know the long-term deal with it. We don't necessarily know that much about Sarms. I'm not at the forefront of Sarms, so I don't know. Someone would be good to look at would be like Greg Doucette. I know that he used some in the past. I don't know if he uses now. I don't think he does. But it'd be good. I know he's got a few videos on it, so it'd be good to check out there. Snog, marry, avoid. Can you guess who this one's going to be? TM Cycles, Bridgman, and Cal. This is potentially the hardest question you're ever going to hear from me, or hear answered. I think we'll marry Cycles for the money. We'll marry Cycles for the money. No prenup, of course. Bridgman versus Cal in terms of snogging, it's neither here nor there. I think maybe Bridgman, being a men's physique boy, having that luscious long hair, it might be something different. So I'm picturing all three of these guys, and just things that shouldn't be in my head right now. So we're going to leave it at that. Here's one for you. Me, Josh Bridgman, or Brandon Harding. Who is going to be the first IFBB pro out of the both of us? I'm gonna be honest in the fact that I think that it's going to be down, like, in my opinion, it's going to be down to the time, like who's going to compete first, who competes in what type of events. I think that he can go straight into a pro qualifier. I'm not 100% sure how it works. Actually, I don't think he can go. I think both of us have to do a first qualifier in England, and then we would go ahead and do a pro qualifier. So whether he competes before, I know he was going to compete this year, and I wasn't. So I expect him to be competing first. Do I think that Brandon is worth a pro card? 100%. I think he's got the genetic capability to do it. He's clearly got the work rate to do it. He can get himself in unbelievable condition. No one can really second guess that. Do I think I do? I think I do as well. We are in different categories, I will say. I'll tie this into the next question, which says who's going to win? Who would win between me and Brandon on stage? I think we're in different categories, so you wouldn't really compare. But if I was to go on a classic stage, I would think that Brandon would probably beat me. I think maybe a pose here and there I might be able to hang with him, but I think all round, with the powerful arms, the density in his overall physique versus mine at the moment. I mean, I haven't cut down again since I've put on a lot of muscle mass, but objectively, as a bodybuilding enthusiast, I think in a classic match he would. But stick him in the shorts, take his legs off. Not that I think my legs are bad. I think my legs are pretty good. It could probably hang with his as well, especially in terms of like vascularity. Maybe not size and shape, and especially from the side as well. Especially from the side, but front on maybe. But you know, take those shorts out, I think the proportions for men's physique are a little bit different to classic. So I think I'd have him there. But honestly, who knows? Maybe we'll get him to put some shorts on. Maybe I'll stick some classic trunks on, and we'll see. But I reckon that's a pretty good prediction. How have I stayed away from the controversy in the industry? So you can appreciate this industry is, or most industries, a lot of industries are built on or are hugely affected by people just trying to bring in negative energy, like calling people out, chatting people on their bullshit. Now, I definitely think there's ways to do it. There are ways where you can just call someone out and say, you are the worst. You know, you should not be doing this kind of stuff. And that is... like, I don't necessarily like that. Some people need that because they just are parasites in terms of the fitness industry, especially. I see value in the entertaining side of kind of taking someone down a peg in terms of, like, let's take Greg Doucette, for example. Like, I realize all his videos are sort of shouting, but he really does just mean well. Like, if you take out all the YouTube of it, he's just giving good information and telling people that are doing bad information they're not doing it wrong. So like the intention is there, but maybe not necessarily done the way that I would do it, right? So when I've been asked to be involved in these things, for example, when Greg and Brandon were going through it, like Greg messaged me and said he's heard that I've had something go on with him, and he wanted to hear about it, and he wanted to see if I wanted to get involved. I just said no, like that's not my vibe. That never was. I've always said that. Like I never wanted to call Brandon out or disparage him for what had happened, for a misunderstanding. I never did that because I didn't mean it like that. Like I wouldn't have put the videos up that I did meaning that stuff. That's not who I am as a person. And just like that, that's not me as a person in bodybuilding and in the fitness industry. So I'm not saying I'm never going to cuss someone out. Don't get me wrong. I'll cuss someone out if you step the line, but I think there's just like respect to be had, like mutual respect to be had across everyone who's a creator, right? To a certain extent, we've got to be careful with it. When did I start taking steroids? So many of you guys will remember this video on the screen right now. This was me my decision to make steroids. It's got about 50,000 views actually. It was pretty well received. Lots and lots of hate on there. But this was me just spitting my thoughts that I'd been having these conversations behind closed doors for a very long time. So November 2018 was when I first started. So it's been 2 years nearly. This November would be 2 years that I've been using steroids. Do I regret it? No. I don't regret anything about it. I think I would have regretted not taking the leap just for a what if. I'm still in the process of finding how far I'm gonna take this. This is all part of my journey, and I'm still happy with it. Maybe I regret it later in my life, maybe, but I like to live in the moment and learn from my mistakes and use them as a building block for my future life rather than like, shit, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I don't think there's many things in my life that I think I wish I wouldn't have done. I think maybe there's things I wish I would have done, but wouldn't. You know, I'm sort of one of those people who's sort of like ask for forgiveness after you do it. If your intentions are right and you're not trying to hurt anyone, like go for it, sort of thing. You know, what's the worst you're gonna do? Worst you're gonna do is learn a lesson, right? So, I don't know. Don't know if that's the best mentality, but that's mine. Is there anything I have that I'm self-conscious of? I think for me, how my peers look at me or perceive me. I don't know whether I really want their approval. I want to chase their approval or whatever that is. But I have a sense of, I hope my peers think that I'm putting out the right information. I'd like to think that they call me out if I wasn't. And I'd like their respect a lot. I don't know. I don't know what that is about me, whether it's just my insecurity of what people think of me or, like maybe it is. Like that's it. I think that's been an issue in my life over some time is I care what people think, and the art of not giving a fuck, that book, like the first couple of chapters in there really helped me. It wasn't from that I changed my life or anything, but that kind of thing really helped. I wouldn't say that book changed my life, but that kind of quote of not giving a fuck and having so many fucks in a day to give, I started adopting that a little bit and stopped giving so many fucks to people that it just didn't really matter if I did give a fuck or not. I think in life, if your intentions are good, if you're not trying to hurt anyone, you're not trying to, get a leg up on someone by putting someone else down, like fucking go for it, mate. Fucking go for it, Why not? When to deload. Your body's going to tell you, right? Your body's really, really smart. Your body is going to tell you when there's something wrong. More often than not. Don't get me wrong. People are ignorant to it and maybe ignore the signs that the body is giving. But I would say that a lot of people can feel it. When you feel really tired, feel like you can't be able to eat anymore, feel like you can't be able to train anymore, just take some time away. And that's a real thing, and that's what we do. We just take a time away and come back stronger. I think that's the most important thing. Listen to those markers. Your body's going to tell you. You've been training for 8 to 12 weeks, progressing, started to get a little bit slower, a little bit harder, deload, easy. Do I struggle to wipe the water droplets off my back after a shower? Let's find out. You guys merely will adopt the technique. I made the technique. Is the Bradford press a stupid movement? I don't know what the Bradford press is. I'm going to look. Should we look together? So here we go. Bradford press. Click this.
In the Bradford press, it's a
Testosterone nation, man. You push the shoulder. Let's skip. Is the Bradford press stupid? So far it's a military press. Yes. There's no need to do that. Fuck me. The true cost of anabolics is a really good question. I think the true cost of anabolics is more than just the actual anabolics. Anabolics itself, the harsh reality of it is they're pretty darn cheap. 10 weeks, 35, 40 quid for a bit of testosterone. But you've got to supplement, and you've got to get blood tests, and you've got to get needles, you've got to get needle bins, you've got to get wipes, you've got to get things that keep everything in check, and you've got to do it regularly. So that £35 quickly becomes £200-300 a month, and it doesn't go, because you shouldn't be stopping looking after your health. If you can put a price on your health, it's down to you. I can't put that price on my health, so I didn't start until I knew that I could afford this lifestyle, if that makes sense. And things get more obviously way more expensive the further you get down the line. The more substance you use, the more you inject. It's real. My CLEN protocol. I'm going to reiterate what I said at the start of this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to give you this advice. My experience entirely, I'm not telling anyone else to do this, is that there is no need for you to come off. Beta-adrenergic receptors don't downregulate. That's not a thing that happens. So you don't need to do 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, whatever it is. You can just run it, and it's actually pretty safe. Quote, it's not as safe as not doing nothing. That's what you should be doing, of course. That's what you should be doing. But in my experience, that's it. You don't need, that's the protocol. You don't need to stop in my experience. Maybe just tape it down when you come off. Worst experience of gear. I'll tell you this right now. Probably the worst, and one of only 3 times it's gone bad, but this injection that you're seeing on screen, my worst experience was this jab. I injected it in my piriformis, which was a new muscle that I was trying because I just wanted to rotate, because I was using a few sites a week and I wanted to rotate a little bit more. It was the worst mistake I'd ever made. I'm never going to jab there again. Don't ever try it. Don't ever do it. I know people that do it and it's fine. And I just did it and it blew my leg to like twice the size, red raw, thought it was going to explode. The skin was like scaly. Honestly, it was horrific. And guess what? I did a jab the next day, because that's what we do, because we're stupid. Don't do what I do. Don't do what I do. Which steroids make your ball shrink? All of them. Anything that's going to mess with your hormones, anything that's going to play with your endogenous supply of hormone in the nutsack is going to make your nuts smaller. You produce a lot of testosterone in your nutsack. As soon as you don't have that need to produce, there's no need for them to be as big, so they atrophy. But if you do come off, you get them running again, they do come back. I've heard, I've not tried it yet. Would I stop steroids if my girlfriend wanted a kid? This is a really good question. I don't know how linked to... I don't know the percentage of people that don't have kids if they carry on or whatever, because there's mimicking hormones for LH and FSH, and you can almost stimulate spermatogenesis again, but without having to come off. Like people on TRT can have kids, right? Like doctors in America, they'll tell you if they prescribe TRT, like they're not stopping your fertility. Take HCG, take HMG. You know, different hormones will do different things, and different mimics of different things are going to, essentially, you can almost kickstart it, but I don't know what that percentage is of that not working. I don't know what that is. I think from what I know now, I would probably try it on TRT first, and then if that didn't work, I'd come off and try kickstart everything naturally. I don't know the ins and the outs of it. If I did, I would employ a doctor to do that. That is something that I would really do. I don't just say that for the sake of it. I literally have doctors look at my blood work and they give me advice based off it. You know, I don't fuck around with seeing some bro on the forum. I really get it done properly. Would you ever give someone the wrong advice backstage, like Arnold in Pumping Iron? So he was referring to when he's talking to Lou in the morning. He's like, you shouldn't be eating. You got too much fat. You need 2 more weeks at least. Whoa, his accent's developed very quickly. Arnold. Hey, Arnold. Hey, Lou. Hey, Big Lou. Hey, Big Lou, you still need 2 more weeks. Oh, my God. Anyway, he's basically saying you need a few more weeks. No, I'm not that guy. I feel like bodybuilding is one of those ones where it's very solitary at times, especially if you don't have many friends that do it this religiously. When you get to that show day, you can't help but have a camaraderie with people, because they've all been through that same shit, and it's been just as hard for everyone, and you kind of think, we fucking did this, let's go, you know. So you can't help but think that. So I would always help someone. That's just the way it is. They bring their best, I'll bring my best. Best man wins, let's go. I like that. I'm going to finish on this one. Why do you think it's so hard to find your purpose in life? I think there are purposes in life, and there are chapters of life, and it's this big long storybook. This is how I see it. And maybe one of your chapters is not feeling like you have a purpose, but I think that every chapter is needed for that final ending. Whether it's a good story or a bad story, you know, it's quite a nice way to look at life, and I think that those bad times will make the good times even better, and you need that as part of that yin and yang balance. My only advice to you in that situation, or in any situation where you don't necessarily know what you want to do, is just to do and try something that you, whatever, try something as close to as what you're interested in as possible. Even if it's slightly different, you can take aspects of that job. You don't need to do it for a couple of months and then be like, I don't want to do it anymore. Out, cool, leave. It's no big deal. But you go to that job, you learn what you need to know. Like maybe you find something you're really interested in. Maybe you can try that next time. Maybe you find something you hate and you're not going to do that next time. Maybe you love it. There's all these scenarios, but until you're doing that, you're just sat there thinking, don't know what to do. Well, you ain't going to know sitting there. You've got to go out and do it. It feels horrible. I hated it. I hated going to get a job. It was the worst thing because I was like, I don't want to do this. What do you want to do? I don't know. Well, in doing that job, I learned things in that job that I meant, like, once you get over the fear of just going to the fucking day and just standing there and be like, all right, I'm here to work now. You just suck it up and you learn things you really, really like. And actually, it wasn't too bad of a job and you enjoy it and you learn things. And you know what? I realized I didn't want to do that job. So I left and I tried something else. Took things from that. And funnily enough, this advice didn't actually come round in the fact that I didn't find something that I wanted to do. It just kind of built up alongside, which is quite cool. But yeah, like that's a little bit of an insight into me. That's a little bit of insight into my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to end it here. It's already pretty long. I'm not sure how long it'll be after I cut it down, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll be back very soon with another video. Peace and love, everybody. Bye-bye.